Figuring out the true starting rotation is keeping the Dog Pound incredibly anxious this month. We finally have a clear picture of how the coaching staff will divide the playing time for our upcoming exhibition game. The immediate future of our offense just got an interesting timeline. Leave a like and subscribe to support the channel. The wait for clarity at quarterback is finally over, as head coach Todd Monken just confirmed that Deshaun Watson will start this Saturday's preseason opener. Since joining our squad, Watson has carried the weight of massive expectations. And this decision to have him lead the first-team unit reflects the organization's desire to see how he manages the opening series. It is a moment many of us have been analyzing for months given his complex history here in Cleveland. Per Daniel Oyefusi of ESPN, the plan is for Watson to log about a half of work before Shedeur Sanders enters the game for the third quarter. Then, we will see Dillon Gabriel get his own reps to round out the evaluation. The bottom line here is that Monken is navigating a fierce, undecided competition where no single player has truly separated themselves from the pack. Some fans might view the order of play as a subtle hint about the hierarchy, but Monken maintains that this competition remains wide open for everyone involved. Shedeur Sanders is already slated to start next week against the Buffalo Bills, and the atmosphere in that home stadium will be electric for him. Should we be concerned that the coaching staff has not settled on a definitive leader yet? Watching this back and forth between signal callers keeps the entire fan base in a tense holding pattern as we inch closer to the regular season. Is it possible that Watson is simply auditioning to keep his job, or is the staff already preparing for a future transition that we cannot quite see yet? We are still left wondering if this rotation is a fair way to manage talent, or if the lack of consistent, singular first-team snaps will leave our offense struggling to find any rhythm when the games finally count for real. The decision to lean on Deshaun Watson for the opening series stems from a quiet, internal desire to establish a clear rhythm before transitioning to the younger arms waiting in the wings. While some fans might feel anxious about such a split, the coaching staff appears to be playing a long game by treating these early snaps as an essential trial, rather than a final judgment. And the more I look at this, the clearer it becomes that the organization is attempting to balance proven veteran experience with the raw, untapped potential of someone like Shedeur Sanders. Why gamble on one direction when you can force both players to prove their value under the stadium lights? We have seen similar roster strategies in the past where teams keep multiple options active deep into the summer, often leading to a sudden shift once the pressure of the regular season arrives. Is it possible that this hesitation is simply the front office wanting to see if a specific signal caller can thrive against backup defensive units before granting them full control of the starting job? Honestly, this approach makes me wonder if they fear that settling too early could leave them with no viable alternative if the primary choice struggles out of the gate. Dillon Gabriel will also be working into the mix during the third quarter, adding yet another layer to an already complex evaluation process for the coaches. With the Buffalo Bills waiting on the horizon, the pressure will only intensify for whoever is under center next week. Are we genuinely comfortable waiting until the final buzzer to find our answer at the most vital position? Or should we have demanded a firmer commitment to one individual long ago? Every snap this Saturday now carries the weight of a franchise wondering if they have actually found their permanent leader. So that is the news itself, but let us get into what it actually means for our outlook this year. The truth is, the coaching staff is stuck in a rare position where the path toward our opening game remains totally obscured. Why does this matter right now? Because every snap matters when you are trying to forge a starting quarterback before the regular season begins, and we are currently splitting our first-team reps 3 ways. Having Deshaun Watson lead off on Saturday is not just a standard preseason formality. It is a calculated risk to see if he can reclaim his rhythm under pressure. By rotating in Shedeur Sanders for the third quarter and giving Dillon Gabriel his own series, Monken is essentially running a public experiment instead of building offensive continuity. Does this rotation hurt our chances of catching our division rivals off guard? Perhaps. Without a primary starter getting the bulk of the work, our offensive chemistry might lag behind teams that have already committed to one signal caller. We are effectively in a holding pattern where no one has separated themselves, forcing this staff to keep all 3 arms ready for the Buffalo Bills game next week. That home crowd will be looking for a spark, and if Sanders handles his transition well under those lights, we could see a total shift in the internal hierarchy. If Watson struggles against backup defenses this weekend, the pressure on the front office to name an alternative will become impossible to ignore. Are we genuinely comfortable moving forward without a clear leader at the most vital spot on the field? Honestly, this feels like we are waiting for a mistake to happen rather than building a plan. The future of this season hangs on how these three manage this strange competitive divide. Starting Deshaun Watson first on Saturday offers a strategic benefit by testing how he commands the pocket early against live defensive pressure. By letting a veteran lead the initial series, the staff gains an immediate baseline comparison for the entire quarterback room. What makes this even bigger is the balanced approach Todd Monken is taking, giving Shedeur Sanders the third quarter and Dylan Gabriel some dedicated reps to ensure nobody is ignored. The clear upside here is seeing exactly how each man handles the rhythm of a standard game environment, rather than relying on practice drills alone. However, we must consider the downside. Splitting these vital snaps might prevent any single leader from finding a consistent groove, which could leave us stagnant when the real season starts. Does this rotation truly provide enough clarity to name a definitive starter, or are we just delaying an inevitable difficult choice? According to Daniel Oyefusi of ESPN, this setup keeps the competition wide open. But many analysts are starting to wonder if rotating three quarterbacks this late in the summer is simply a recipe for disjointed offensive play. While some might argue this trial by fire prepares Sanders for his start next week against the Buffalo Bills, others worry that lack of continuity will hold back the entire unit. Here's where I land on this. I find the hesitation concerning because I truly believe our success hinges on one player taking the reins to build genuine chemistry with the wide receivers. If Watson struggles to move the chains on Saturday, the pressure on the front office to shift direction will be immense. Honestly, I think we are gambling with our own rhythm just to satisfy a fair evaluation process, and I am not yet convinced that this approach is the winning formula we need. Putting the news of Deshaun Watson starting the preseason opener alongside the shifting quarterback hierarchy paints a clear picture of a franchise searching for its identity. This setup signals that the Cleveland Browns are entering a critical window where performance must immediately justify the roster configuration over the next 2 seasons. Honestly, as fans, we should feel a mix of guarded optimism and justified impatience, as this decision forces a direct confrontation with the reality of our current offensive setup. Seeing the staff prioritize a split-rep strategy suggests they are treating these games as a final filter rather than a building block for continuity. Here is where it gets interesting, as we have to wonder if playing Watson first provides him a fair window to hold off the younger talent, or if this is simply a delay of the inevitable change that